Redditors, what was the best thing? The quiet kid in my class was sorta bullied by this kid who had a cleft chin. One day the cleft chin guy insulted the quiet kid, and the quiet kid came back with the insult, "Is your mouth so filthy because someone fucked you in the chin?" It was 6th grade and the whole table, we were seated as groups, busted out laughing. It was a dirty joke, so check, and it was aimed at a bully, double check. He became known as the chin fucked kid, which was hilarious to us 6th graders. My sister told me about a quiet guy that asked to go to the bathroom but the teacher refused and so just stood up and pissed himself in class. Ultimate power move. Mark territory to assert dominance. Smart, nerdy, quiet kid in the front of class, always answered questions correctly when called on. One day the teacher calls on him and before he even answers the teacher just lazily says correct and turns back around to write on the board. The second the teacher turns around, the quiet kid just rockets his pencil upward into the ceiling like an arrow. The teacher doesn't notice. It was just such a sudden, unexpected act of rebellion from the quiet kid that never said anything. The whole class saw it and by the time the teacher turned around the quiet kid was playing it cool as ice and taking notes again. The teacher doesn't notice. Finally the teacher turns around again to ask another question and the entire class is trying not to laugh and everyone is trying not to look at the pencil stuck into the ceiling. The teacher still doesn't notice. A couple of people laugh, and every time the teacher asked what is so funny. The situation became even more hilarious. Finally the teacher turns around again and continues the lesson, completely oblivious. It was boring math class and it was the funniest thing that happened all year. We had a kid at our high school who refused to speak for the entirety of our high school career, even if a teacher called on him. The day we graduated he spoke for the first time. His reasoning for his 4 years of silence was just because I could. We're in health class, on the topic of domestic abuse. Somehow the subject turns to how Britney Spears received backlash for abusing her kids. Kid in the back says, probably because she hit her baby one more time. Did everyone laugh or was it just dead silent? Everyone including the teacher was laughing for a good 10 seconds before things resumed. The guy who said it was even laughing cause he usually doesn't say stuff like that. My wife told me of a really quiet kid in her class. No one ever heard him speak because he has some sort of mental thing and the teacher knew not to call on him. The last week of school this kid finally speaks. 100% British. This is in the cornfields of the Midwest. 6th grade science class, teacher was out of the room and we were fucking around with hot plates. While messing around one of my classmates burns his hand pretty bad on a hot plate and has to go to the nurse. Right after he leaves the room, quiet kid enters and casually says smells like burnt flesh in here and just sits down like it was nothing. Everyone turned and just stared at him. Unrelated, because I wasn't the quiet kid, but one time I walked into my German class a bit early. It smells like purple in here, I immediately comment out loud. My teacher gives me the strangest look. She said they were using dry erase markers on whiteboards today. They weren't scented markers, but all of them were purple. I guess they have a distinctive smell from black, blue, and red markers. Thanks for letting me share my pointless story. Dude, me and a friend in HS would get the blue and red slushies and mix them together because they tasted like purple, not berry, not grape, but purple.
Do you have any fruit?
It says purple stuff inside. Purple is a fruit.
My friend was the quiet kid. In high school drafting class, back when drafting was done on paper, there was another kid harassing him from across the room. He took his T-square, about 2 feet long, made of wood, sharp edges, and whipped it across the room, hitting his harasser square on the side of the head. The resulting head wound required several stitches. 7th grade, new kid named Nick started school halfway through the year. He sat next to me in English class and didn't say anything ever. One day, we were reading poems out loud and critiquing each other. One sorry fellow read his, and every line started with "If I was a bird. If I was a bird, I'd live in a tree. If I was a bird, I'd fly to school. If I was a bird." A few people offered polite criticism. The teacher called on Nick for his opinion, and he said, "If I was a bird, I'd poop on all of you." He got kicked out of class and I still laugh every time I think about it. We became friends and he was actually a pretty nice guy. I think he just couldn't resist making that joke. Remember to subscribe for more daily quotes.